Good evening, everybody. We're here with a Week 1 Swiss matchup of A Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Log Tournament. This match is going to be thisisnotyoho versus annorax10. I'm Mercer in the booth. I'm joined with Dark Diplomat tracking for us today. We're happy to bring you this one. Our runners are deep in their study period. Should be getting started before too much longer. For those who may not have seen one of these yet, since this is the first week of the tournament, we have given the runners the locations of all of the items in a text file, and they have 50. So not indefinite preparation period or anything like that, but enough time to build out a basic route, see where you want to go. Typically, these runs are much shorter than a normal randomizer. The settings, for those who have seen normal randomizer, are 7-7 open. So basically, you have to get all the crystals, go through GT, kill Ganon. And whichever of our runners kills Ganon first and walks into the Triforce room first gets the win tonight, moves to 1-0. This tournament is running with Swiss, so there will be 7 rounds where people are paired off against one person each week with a similar record. And then at the end, we'll have playoffs. It looks like we are starting. Both runners are starting in Link's house. Immediately get some money to get through parts of the early seed. One thing you'll notice in spoiler logs, because you're picking up a lot less junk, you end up with a lot less hearts, money, generally safeties than you would in a normal randomizer. And it can really add up over time. So a lot of times you'll end up seeing things like a cold stare fight where a runner is in green mail and has 4 hearts and is using a master sword. It's incredibly dangerous. Some nice early bombs there off of Link's uncle. And sort of vanilla-ish fighter sword, kind of near Link's uncle. And both runners are choosing to go further into the castle than just that sword. A sword would be reason enough to come towards the castle in this opening. It's nice to get weapons early. Usually you'll see runners routing for tempered sword as early as they can get it. Boots also tend to be picked up as quickly as you can get to them. But we see thisisnotyoho and Annorax both get the flippers and save and quit out. Another valuable weapon here early is they get the fire rod out of Sanctuary. If you look at the tracker along the bottom, you'll see that since our runners will never do a map check because they got that information in the spoiler log, our tracker has pre-populated the pendant and crystal dungeons. So we might not ever see desert, ice, or turtle rock this run unless there's something the runners need there, or they need to get the Master Sword pedestal or the Sahasrara item. And we see the lamp and Master Sword gotten there. And just a little hesitation on Annorax's side. Did not pick up the bombs off Uncle. Probably going to just have to route some in right quick. There are some here in the well, though, you see, so it should be able to recover on that. And 3 minutes and 37 seconds in, this is Not Yoho already on tempered, annorax10 soon to follow. That's the sort of thing you love to see as a runner early in this. It's both safer and you save time because bosses will just die faster, enemies will just die quicker. And we see this is Not Yoho heading for the dam. And one of the best safeties to pick up in Spoiler found in the flooded spot there. Armor in most situations doubles your health effectively. Not true against everything, but it's true enough that it's well worth the time investment. You're having a little trouble there. And save and quits out. I think he may have soft locked. I didn't really see there. That's a little unfortunate for This Is Not Yoho. Gonna give it another try here. Hopefully get his revenge on these deadly, deadly pits. A lot of money, some health, and a bow. That's a pretty nice little reward for killing the mini worms. And heading over to the Zora area. We'll see how much. Does have money to pay off Zora, but gonna do the waterfall fairy first. Snags a bottle and some bombs out there. And we find the Book of Medora there on Sick Kid. Looks like This Is Not Yoho will be heading towards the desert area with that book. Annorax was heading in that general direction and saving put out. I'm guessing he realized he needed that to get in. And let's see what we have here in desert. Won't be able to clear it without a glove, but it is a pendant, so it doesn't necessarily need to clear it. And the small key and the one chest that we can check without the boots. And in the vanilla big key chest, we have the moon pearl. And with Moon Pearl in hand, This Is Not Yoho has a lamp, Master Sword or better, and the Moon Pearl, so heading straight for Aga Tower. One of the best parts about Spoiler is you will never do Aga Tower if you don't need to. Hopefully. But it means you don't necessarily have to dig through all the obscure locations and find money for Zora and all that stuff before running it. I mean, that said, right now, our access within the Dark World through Aga is pretty limited. No hookshot, no gloves, no hammer. So it's really just the pyramid and pod that's available, and not even all in pod, because of course you cannot clear it without the hammer. So Annorax heading the same direction. Routes have been pretty similar so far, as they tend to be for the early game in these spoiler matches. And as This Is Not Yoho gets ready to do the Aga fight, the number of blue balls is one of the pieces of information not in the spoiler log, but it will be the same on the first attempt for both runners, hopefully the only attempt. Nobody really roots for aga seeds for this reason. It's kind of a 3-minute interlude as they do the same thing they've done many times before. A very friendly pattern, at least. I believe that was a 0 blue ball, aga one. And the pyramid ledge does not hold our interest today, so more or less has to be in pod. Annorax coming up on the aga fight here, as thisisnotyoho gets ready to pay his entry fee into Palace of Darkness. Yeah, so unless the hammer is inside of pod, this is gonna be a double dip. It is a crystal. Sets up for kind of a slower death warp, still probably faster than walking out. So, heading straight for the back here. This is one of the dungeons where it's really nice to know where everything is, because there's a lot of areas you can just dodge. There was an unfortunate bit of lag there. I'll just go ahead and mention that that chest was the hook shot, which thisisnotyoho now has. That opens up a decent amount more of Dark World. Still no gloves, still no hammer, but you can use the flippers and the hookshot to get across the river up here. Annorax heading through pod now. The This is a what This Is Not Yoho is doing now is very important if you're new to Randomizer to know is possible to do, because if you don't, you might find yourself locked in a seat. Oh, that's unfortunate. That part is not what you need to know to do. It happens. Dark World's pretty dangerous on 5 hearts. That's going to make up some of the gap that had been opened up between the two runners. And that's the thing about these spoiler races. They tend to be very dangerous. So people who run them definitely deserve full respect for racing in front of us, and you should give both of our runners today a follow. This Is Not Yoho, annorax10. And we'll see if it gets across here. We'll see just where This Is Not Yoho or Not Yoho decides to go. There's a decent number of locations open. Could clear out Skullwoods with the Fire Rod and Tempered Sword. Could clear out Thieves Town. Wouldn't be able to get the big chest without the hammer. He's going to head to Thieves Town, looks like. And we find our Ether Medallion. That's not one of our entry ones today, but still could be useful for menuing purposes or, in certain cases against enemies. And gets to save a little bit of time by knowing the dungeon layout of keys. Doesn't have to check the vanilla big key chest. Okay, Annorax did momentarily forget not having the glove, but is swimming now. Blue Mail makes Thieves Town a lot less treacherous, but 5 hearts is still pretty low. There's a lot of environmental hazard that doesn't care about your armor. These green cricket things, however, are significantly less damaging. They do 2 full hearts on green mail. See Annorax grabbing the gold sword out of the C-shaped house. Can make a few fights easier, doesn't necessarily save time on all that many of them, but if you're executing perfectly, but if you're not, so Yoho runs into the rare case where you actually have to go the long way around in Thieves with no glove. And I see chat saying Yoho's bomb missed the bombable floor. I was actually looking at Anorax's screen at that moment. If that's the case, that's going to be pretty costly. Because we do find the boots, so at least you'll be able to run back there faster. But that's still a couple minutes. I don't think it'll quite be able to lead change, but I think it will close virtually all of the gap and sees it right away. That light is not there. So still a little ahead. Won't have to go back downstairs either. But that's a big chunk of the time difference gone. Ooh, and okay, I was about to say, if he takes a death here, then that's gonna be a lead change. Has a green potion. Does not have really any other way to refill. Oh, and does have to re-get the maiden. I actually did not know that. Oh, and there it is. I mean, it totally makes sense that you can't take the maiden into the lit areas. Obviously, you know, I just never really thought about it. Yeah, the blind fight itself probably would have been fine. Most of a full magic bar and the Cane of Burna. As long as you know when to fall back there. Oh, Anorax might think the glove is required. Yeah, I don't know that Anorax knew you could just kill the enemies and go around. Taking an intentional death warp out there. And there's our first glove on Stumpy. And this is not Yoho taking on Blind here. Yeah, annorax had mentioned before the race being somewhat newer to Randomizer, and I think that was just one of those things that trips players up because it never comes up in the middle game. As we see, Hype Cave is really quite hyped today with our other gloves, so full mitts and hammer, and from none of those in the space of like 40 seconds. But that one is going to hurt. We'll have to go back to Thieves Town later and won't have the boots in the meantime. Probably wouldn't have been that bad if he had done that first to begin with, but since he had gone most of the way, and it's kind of a time loss. Yoho going to knock out Skull Woods while in the area, just heading straight to the back, it looks like. It looks like going to head straight back here to Thieves, now that he has those mitts. Yeah, there's certainly nothing to be ashamed of in it. It's a quirky game in a lot of regards, a lot of inconsistent behaviors and all, and you just kind of have to learn them by making mistakes. Like, it's just each time you mess something up, it's usually something you won't mess up again. But it will cost him a little time in this race. That was a nice dash poke on Mothhill. That was actually a very clean Mothhill fight overall from thisisnotyoho. Gets the crystal, gets some bombs. Might not be anything else in Skullwoods worth getting, judging by how he routed it. Some sword beams getting in the way there on annorax's side. Unfortunately, with those, if the beams hit first, they do fighter sword damage instead of that full gold sword damage. That's why a lot of times with runners, you'll see them intentionally take a half heart of damage. Although the beams can actually be nice for the blind fight if you get off script. Or if, like, you can't do the script past 6 hits anyway. And yeah, it does look like annorax is going to do beams at least until getting hit, and then already has the cane out to finish the fight. That is a totally fine way to do it when you have the option. And some nice dodging here, too. It gets hit after the... Really, this is the point where it's hard to keep using beams because it's hard not to get hit during this fight. But Canberna takes it down. Yoho heading into Hype Cave to get, everything. Meanwhile, chat is discussing the most broken Zelda games. I will say this game has to be high on the list for most dissected video game this side of NetHack. And, it mostly holds together when they were rushing it out as a launch product-ish for the Super Nintendo. So, hey, good job, Nintendo programmers 30 years ago. Meanwhile, 35 minutes in, we see the old man getting rescued here. And we really just got access to the mountain at all. Had not seen the flute at all, just got the first glove. Yeah, picking up those pots, that's another little thing you learn. You might have... Okay, gets through the door there. I wasn't sure if he'd have time or not. And we're getting some Death Mountain checks here. Oh, or not. Annorax drains his green potion to keep using the fire rod. Mothula is kind of an obnoxious boss to get used to. It does finish off there. Just because if you bounce it into the spikes with a hit, then the hit doesn't count because of the way Mothula is programmed. Also in the vanilla game, does not take damage at all from the gold sword slashes, which it is possible to fight Mothula with the gold sword in the vanilla game. You just have to do pokes at that point or go to the fire rod if you somehow routed it that way. And at least we have the boots to make this spiral cave trip a little more pleasant. And the mirror is a nice prize to be waiting at the end. Explains the earlier save put out didn't mean to go to the Dark World before picking that up. Some divergence though as Annorax heads over towards Eastern Palace instead of going up the mountain. Some full heart containers that are along the way are always nice to find, along with the flute, the boomerang, and a shovel. So the flute is 100% required this seed, as Misery Mire is one of our crystals. And some extra help along the way is nice. Speaking of getting into Mire, there's Quake in Eastern. Save quits out, finds himself on a pyramid now that Aga is dead and the mirror is in hand, and mirrors out and quits again to get over to Sanctuary. I'm going to get a flute activation here. Let's see where Not Yoho chooses to go here. Yeah, so mirror in hand, this is Not Yoho will be able to finish out Pod, which was dipped earlier for that hook shot, and then mirror over to Eastern. Annorax lining up for a fight against the Armos Knights. Doesn't get the quick kill, but recovers nicely. Not more than a couple of seconds off from the optimal version of the fight. So raises his third crystal up. And it's like he's gonna walk down to the portal and maybe come back up to Pod. I do think it probably would have been faster to flute back down, but not much of a difference. Oh, right, he doesn't have the flute. Thank you, chat. I'm done. See both of them in the same dungeon for a little bit as This Is Not Yoho heads towards Helmasaur. Heads into the fight here. And This Is Not Yoho's third crystal. This is not Yoho really only needs to pick up the Cane of Samaria for Go mode. If you don't consider knowing where everything is to start with Go mode to begin with. To answer chat, and for anyone else who may have joined in late, the spoiler log part of this tournament means that our runners did get a text log with the location of all the items 15 minutes before the race on stream started, and had that time to plan out a route, figure out where they wanted to go. They can also continue to consult the log throughout the race, but it's best to avoid doing that too much, because if you're looking at the notepad document, then you're not moving on the screen. And oh no, Annorax did not pick up the big key earlier, it looks like, and is not in a position to easily die. Not gonna have enough bombs to die with blue mail. Yeah, he's just gonna burn through the bombs. He's still gonna have a heart left. We'll see how he chooses to route from here. May just go ahead and go up the mountain to grab the flute and mirror at this point. No, it doesn't look like it. Heading back over towards the witches, it looks like. Did pick up the mushroom in that run. This is not Yoho, picks up the Eastern Crystal, getting to 4, still needs to do Mire, Swamp, and Tower of Hera. So that Mushroom turn-in is our last kind of out there item with the Cane of Samaria. And we'll see this is picking it up as well. And looks like I'm going to head to Swamp next. It's really just down to whatever order they prefer for Swamp and Mire. Definitely we'll do Tower of Hera last to only make one mountain trip up for it. And Cannon's Tower. Yeah, and a lot of times these spoiler races, it's mostly just a matter of making sure you are playing within your level and kind of racing against yourself, especially in these early rounds of Swiss. One of the things about Swiss I like is somebody who is also in this tournament and is probably one of the weaker runners, is that eventually you'll be paired against kind of your skill level. So we should see the races, but especially early on here, it's mostly just play within yourself, try and do your best. And it is good to see new players getting into this, of course. But still room for things to change if Yoho slips, but definitely a lead here for them. I see annorax grabs silvers, which Yoho skipped out on. Or rather, not Yoho skipped out on. This is not Yoho setting up for a diver down glitch. This is a relatively recent discovery that allows you to walk underwater within a couple of screens in Swamp and interact, pick up chests that are under like 6 feet of water. A little trouble with the glitch. There he goes. Realistically, given what we've seen from Annorax, there's not much that This Is Not Yoho would pick up along the way, other than the necessary keys to get through the rest of the dungeons. The red mail, maybe, or half magic that didn't happen to be in path. Very nice Argus fight. Or phase 1 at least. We'll see how phase 2 goes. Clean phase 2. Just a very well executed tempered sword version of that fight. And Scenario sets up for the spooky glitch entering the portal there. And you can usually tell if it's been moved to the south side of the portal, and it has to do with where the duck is positioned. Let's see how the timing is. It takes a hit from the bird. Quake is not going to affect the flying creatures. We see Annorax going ahead and doing Tower of Hera on this mountain trip. Oh, it's a friendly mire. That's always nice to see it in either that chest or the bridge chest when you don't need anything else out of Mire. Although even when Mire Big Key is in a bad location, maybe even especially then, it feels like the dungeon that is upgraded the most in terms of what you have to do when you have the spoiler log. If it's in the cutscene chest, at least you know to go straight there. We do see the spooky action glitch, which for those new to Link to the Past, or maybe you haven't watched in a couple of years, it's been a little while since this one was popularized, but it's a method of manipulating the switches when you're on other screens using the splash from the fire rod. There's a lot more technical stuff to it, but that's the basics of it. It saves a significant amount of time. See, it spins to kill off most of the little eyeballs. Just have to duck out after missing one shot to let the lightning go off. But then eyeballs down. That's 6 crystals for This Is Not Yoho. Meanwhile, Annorax going for a Moldorm fight. 2 slashes with the gold sword, and down goes Moldorm. They'll bring Annorax up to 4 crystals, gets a bottle with a fairy in it for a reward. You're definitely not going to say no to the bottle with the fairy in it in a spoiler race, especially once you have the mirror and don't have to worry about it messing up the death orb. Annorax activating the flute. We'll be able to very quickly get back over to Pod. Still needs to do Mire and Swamp as well. Let's see where he chooses to go as This Is Not Yoho prepares for Hera. We'll be able to set up for a Hera pot. This is a glitch that allows you to get upstairs without the big key, which will save a lot of time versus doing the tile room. When the big key is downstairs, obviously won't do you any good if you need the big chest, but otherwise you'll also see people do it even if the big key is readily accessible, just because if you get it the first try, it's quicker than walking up. One of many glitches discovered in the last year for this, again, close to 30-year-old game. That is going to be the 7th crystal for This Is Not Yoho. Given that our runners know where the big key in Ganon's Tower is, we don't do the normal guessing game. If you want to take a guess, put a location by name, specific chest in chat. I actually didn't look at it, and we do have access to the log as commentators. I didn't actually look at where the big key was, but I won't take a guess, because if I got it right, you would accuse me of lying, chat. had two guesses, so whichever is closer between Torch and Bob's chest will win it for the night. There's no prize, just a momentary feeling of satisfaction that you were the most right. Thisisnotyoho stops by the Dark Magician room just for a few small keys, it looks like. So, gonna be fairly deep in. Excellent. Using the red meringue to get these switches down nicely. And pulling out a bomb makes me think it's going to be somewhere in Rando Room. Unless there's... I mean, even if red mail were in here, I'm not totally sure if it would be worth the time for Yoho. That's a nice refill off of a heart piece there. Well done if thisisnotyoho routed that out. But bottom right Rando Room, I think Bob's chest was probably the closest. So, congratulations, person who guessed that. Annorax heading towards Swamp now on 5 crystals. Yoho out of arrows. Doesn't have silvers anyway and already passed the arrow required rooms, but still they would have been nice for the gauntlet. Looks like we might see sword version. Sword plus fire rod, okay. Doesn't quite get the one cycle, it was pretty close there. I think the fire shooter kind of knocked thisisnotyoho off the path. Some of the more satisfying rooms in the game coming up, and these are high on the list of tricks that look much cooler than they are difficult to pull off, but still very nicely done. There are also things that you probably never thought of for dealing with those rooms as a kid. Kind of tight on magic here, though. We'll have to grab this refill out of the next room. This is Not Yoho grabs the magic refill, but not the chest there. Nice use of the hook shot there against Moldar 2. Annorax will be coming up on Argus here momentarily, as This Is Not Yoho fights Aga 2. Actually, number 2 this time. We did have to fight Aga 1 about an hour ago. I believe that was a triple. All three definitely hit. It's just hard to tell when they count. A very nice Aga 2 fight. And just Ganon between This Is Not Yoho and victory in this race. Did not bother picking up silver arrows, so we'll be doing, phase 4 spins. Since Tempered Sword is in hand, it will only be 12 spins instead of the 24 you need with Master Sword. Nice spins against the Trident there to get the 1 cycle phase 1. Yeah, it gets the 1+1. Does take a fire bat. We'll need to be a little careful here to not die. I am being reminded he does have a fairy in a bubble. That is correct. I did forget about that. Still, you don't really want to trigger that because it's a big long cutscene and it costs time. Pretty sure This Is Not Yoho knew where those were, just didn't bother. Gets the torch glitch, so we'll only have to light 1 torch. That's huge when doing the silverless strats, makes it much easier to go for triples. Gets it on the cape spin, that one. It gets a triple of that one. Yeah. You just have to kind of time lighting the torch right with that. Yeah, I believe still does also have a green potion, so the magic is not an issue, even if you were to run out on this first bar. But we'll not be doing that. Down goes Ganon. Very clean phase 4. Since chat's asking, I'll go ahead and reveal. Half magic was on Cold Stare, so we were not seeing that this match. But GG to This Is Not Yoho. And Annorax does forfeit from the race. Well run to him, so GG to both runners. We'll see if either one of them cares to join for an interview today. It's very nicely done from both of them, dealing with kind of an obnoxious seed early. We had to run around to get to the Moon Pearl and then do Aga 1. And then had to dip pod for the hookshot just to be able to get to the rest of Dark World in order to get the gloves and hammers. And we are joined by This Is Not Yoho. Good game and congratulations.
Hey, thank you. There's definitely some bad parts in it that I'm not very happy with, especially like around Thieves Town. But otherwise, it was all right.
Yeah, it was just while you were getting ready to join, I was just talking about kind of it was very linear but very rude early
Yeah, the beginning was
for
real
your Dark
bad.
World
Like,
access.
yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, there was. I think you missed the bombable floor in Thieves the first time,
Yeah,
right?
I missed a
That's what you
bombable
were-
floor, and then I died, and then yeah, it was all a mess. I died on the way there too, so I was just unhappy altogether with how that went.
Yeah, I could see that, but it seemed. Any general thoughts on the seed? It did seem kind of linear, just because it was very stingy for a long time.
Well, yeah, like the beginning or whatever, the friggin' hype cave, and then Stumpy having everything that would be Dark World access was like really linear, and then like okay, the Moon Pearl was in desert, so you had to get the book. The book was in uh on the sick kid, and then the only bottles, there were 4 bottles, and I think there was one that was actually available to you. Yeah, there was only
Yeah,
one that you could actually get to. So
yeah, there were 2 in Light World, but the other was Tower of Hera, and you can't get there without gloves and mirror and a variety of other things that you couldn't get to without Dark World.
yeah, so it was rough. But I guess that kind of made it easier to route the beginning, because you just kind of had to, I have to do this next, I have to do this. And then once you got to the Dark World, I guess there wasn't that much left once you got to Hype Cave. You just had to do that, then go up to Death Mountain. And I didn't have, I don't know, my notes were sloppy, I guess, where the mirror was, and I had to save and quit to go back to the Light World because I went to the Dark World there.
Okay, yeah, I kind of wondered. You also skipped Silver Arrows in the bottom of Paradox Cave. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if that
skipping
was an
Silver Arrows was
intentional
probably a
choice.
mistake. The time save there would have been worth actually getting them. So, especially like when I got into Meyer, that was when I was like, oh god, I have 7 hearts and I'm doing this, and I didn't get the arrows. So, you know,
Yeah, I think it was. I wasn't sure if it was just one of those things where sometimes you cut out things that are not necessary, and just maybe you had deleted that out, or if you just make that choice. But
my routing around there was really sloppy, so I just ended up not getting them. So yeah.
yeah, that's totally fair. I can definitely understand that. Um, but yeah, any other general thoughts? I'm trying to remember much else in the seed. A lot of your boss fights were very impressive. I especially liked the Mothula fight and the use of the hookshot on the Muldorm 2 fight to just invuln through him running through you.
Oh yeah, one of the things that's real nice about the spoiler seeds when you get Tower of Hera that doesn't have anything in it is that like I didn't get to use it here, but you can do that same hookshot strat with Moldorm where you hook and he goes through you and then you spin him. So I don't know, that's just a nice thing you're able to do too with the way these spoiler seeds end up playing out a lot of the time.
Yeah, I always like seeing excellent boss fights, and then especially in spoiler seed, sometimes you need those because you're coming into like cold stare with 4 hearts or whatever. But
Yeah.
even on something like Mothula, where it was really just a big time save, it was good to see.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, but other than that, I don't know, it was I didn't like the seed that much. I don't like the seed where the boots are that far in, so
Yeah, the one thing that I will say that the seed was nice about it gave you swords and the lamp for free at the start, pretty much, which is at
I
least
mean, the
something.
free lamp and the swords is it kind of also giving you the middle finger a little bit, because it's saying,
There's
well,
that.
you need these swords to break through that barrier, buddy.
Yeah, there is that part of it, but it doesn't have to give you tempered for that. The tempered was a nice cherry on top. It only
I
has to
kind
be
of
that.
debated actually getting tempered before the sea house or whatever, and I just went ahead and just did all of it. So
Yeah, I mean, none of the first 3 swords were really out of the way, and I can understand not stopping for butter.
yeah, the biggest one would have just
Especially
been skipping the one
pendant
in Uncle
TR.
or whatever.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you had to go to the castle anyway to get your what was it, flippers there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so week 1 in the books. Are you how's your kind of personal goal for this tournament looking? Like, are you shooting to make the playoffs? Are you trying to win the whole thing? I know
I
everybody
don't
has
think I have
different
a shot
goals.
at the playoffs with only 8 people, and I know there's, I don't know, at least 8 people that are better than me that'll just beat me straight up. So there's not really as much of a luck situation here. Also, I think like I don't really hover, so there's certain seeds that I will just automatically lose on probably if I play against certain people. So
Yeah, that can be a thing, although it is pretty low probability. It has to be where hookshot's out of the way and swamp isn't required, and a number of other chests are not
yeah,
what has it. So, you can probably dodge that particular bullet, but it is something that stands out there.
yeah, hopefully.
But good luck going forward. And any other thoughts on the seed?
No, thank you for the
71
comms.
collection rate.
Thanks to my opponent. Thanks for the restream and everything. And no, that's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, do follow both of our runners tonight for putting on a show here for us. This is not Yoho annorax10. Give Dark Diplomat, our tracker, a follow. Did a great job tonight keeping up with everything. Spoiler Log tends to be kind of fast and furious in that regard. And do no more games tonight, but there will be races tomorrow. I'm going to pull up the schedule right quick. So our first match tomorrow is going to, I don't know which of these are getting restreamed yet. It hasn't been assigned, but just on the schedule in general, we've got OC 101 versus Walther 4 at 2:15 Eastern tomorrow. Chemo versus Sinak at 4:15. Dante versus Azdaja at 6:15. And then Relkin versus Kyung, who I believe Kyung is our defending champion, at 8:15. And then a couple more races later in the night and on Sunday. But for more tournament actions, stay tuned to all of the Speed Gaming channels, Speed Gaming, and then Speed Gaming 2 through 6. I've been Mercer tonight, and everybody have a great night.